Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Social Club. Obviously, the Champions League final looms large on Saturday. It's the Madrid derby, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. Again, a repeat of the 2014 final where obviously Real Madrid won 4-1, was it, after extra time? Yeah. It's a big game. It's the biggest game of the season, isn't it, Aaron? What I wanted to know from you is, do you think Atletico have got enough to get one over on Real Madrid this time?
I think they have. They've definitely got it in them, but whether they will or not is probably another story. I can't see past Real Madrid, quite frankly. So many big game players, guys like Ronaldo. Yeah, I mean, he's built for games like this, isn't he?
Do you think he'll be the key man for Real Madrid on the night, as he so often is?
Yeah, I definitely think he is. A lot of people will say that Ronaldo's not a big game player, but he is every on the main stage, every big final that he's played in, pretty much he's scored, and it's Europe's top competition. It's just
he'll want to impress, won't he? And I think it also goes into this rivalry between him and Messi, doesn't it? And he wants to be seen as the top dog, and in his eyes, it won't matter that Barcelona have won the league if Real Madrid and Ronaldo's Real Madrid essentially win the Champions League. Ped, Real Madrid have played, 14 finals now, more than any other side. Madrid, the city, have got to most finals out of every city in Europe. They've reached 17 finals between Real Madrid and Atletico. Milan was second with 16. For you, this is going to be the third year now where a Spanish team wins this. Is there anything anybody else can do to break this monopoly they've got on the Champions League?
No, I don't think they can. Unless one of the Premier League clubs, like sort of City did this year, decide to throw everything at it. But then they're still going to need a hell of a side, because I think Atletico Madrid are going to win. I think tactically, they just seem to have a game plan that upsets everyone. They work harder than everybody else. And I know I was saying about, I don't think Ronaldo's had I know the stats might prove me very, very wrong, but I don't think he's had a vintage season. I don't know, he's had a few injury problems. Bale's had a few injury problems. It's been a weird season, because obviously they started with Rafa Benitez, and then Zinedine Zidane's come in and galvanise things, or just let the players do what they normally do.
Tactically then, on that, I think you bring up a really interesting point there. You got Zinedine Zidane, you got Diego Simeone. For me, Simeone's the better manager there. Zinedine Zidane, I think, will be shown up by Simeone in this final.
It's not even that he's a... I don't know whether Zidane is anything yet. I think what he's done is almost what Di Matteo did at Chelsea. I think what he's come in is he's a fixture. Well, he's a fixture of Real Madrid. He's
respected.
He's respected
all the way through,
and he probably gets on with all the players at a personal level. And he's probably just said to him, "Go and do what you do. I'm not going to restrict you in tactics or anything." He lets them get on with the jobs, which is really important, I think. But long term, I don't think it ever necessarily works. But I think in the short term, it works really well. I think, listen, he can score goals for fun, but you've also got an Atletico Madrid side who don't like giving them up. And what's really interesting about Atletico Madrid, I'm certainly watching them in the second leg against Bayern Munich, they let teams attack them. And it must be so nerve-wracking if you're a fan of theirs to sit there thinking, oh my God. It almost feels like being an Everton fan, but no, this season,
they typically
would typically just let them in. But they just sit, and they're so confident in their defending, and then bang, they're breaking. Someone like Griezmann will go and get a goal. Or even Torres this season who's chipped in with the odd few. Now it's whether they can get away with that in such a big game.
Against Madrid.
It nearly worked last time. It nearly worked. The 4-1 was flattering because they worked so hard for that entire game to win it, and the extra time was all,
I think Griezmann he's one of those players that I look at around world football now and go, so underrated still. He's in the Champions League final. He's been involved. I think he scored 7, assisted 1 of their 16 goals in the Champions League. That's involved directly in 50%.
And they give up. I'm just checking here.
Less than
conceded
40% possession.
18 goals they conceded in the league this
Yeah,
season.
it's
That's
incredible.
just phenomenal, and
It is.
they're
They're the best defence in Europe by a
I think they've got the
mile.
best manager in Europe as well at the moment, probably the best manager in the world. Now, people mightn't like that, but they missed out on their league by 3 points, 2 points behind Real Madrid.
Yeah, considering the resources that they've got,
Exactly.
and the money that Real and Barca
the way
got,
they
yeah,
flip
definitely.
players
yeah,
is
you're right,
incredible as well.
Yeah, from
They'll
the
have
academy.
They'll have a
Costa
big,
to Griezmann, all that type of thing.
They'll have a big name. It probably starts with Torres, actually. They had Torres,
Yeah.
sold him. Everyone thought that was the end of the world because he was their big local idol. And then they brought...
Well, they had Aguero coming through the ranks then, didn't they?
Aguero came, so then they swapped him for Aguero, and then Aguero went, and Costa, and the way they flipped them, keep flipping them, and people go there and think we can get genuine success. And
Well, who's the left back? Is it Philippe Luis?
he went to Chelsea.
He went to Chelsea and then
back.
they signed him back.
Yeah.
And you look at him and you think, that's not the same player that was playing last season in the Premier League because he was goddamn awful. And you look at him now and I think, what?
Look at
Amazing.
Simeone. Imagine playing for Simeone.
He is amazing.
He batters his own coaches when they make like sub errors with the subs or whatever. He's just he's a leader. He will lead your club through anything. He will fight and claw to get the club. And if you're if you're a fan, you might be able to like. I'm not saying some of the football. I'm not saying the football's boring or anything, but at times if you're sitting in a fan, you're thinking it feels like you're under the cosh. But having him on the sidelines, you must just be completely
And he's geeing the
reassured.
fans up.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a manager, and you might know better than me either on this one, I don't think there's ever been a manager who's created the team in his own image as well as Diego Simeone. That's like how Diego Simeone played football. That's what he loved. I love defensive football, so I naturally gravitate to Atletico. I want them to win it. Do you think there's anybody else who's done that in the same way? The only one for me that comes close, Mourinho's done it, but he never played football.
Yeah, I'd agree. I totally agree with you. And in this, era of modern football, we're probably not going to see it again. With all the money that's been thrown around.
What makes you say that? Why do you think no other manager can do that?
Well, clubs are just getting richer and richer, and the money starts to dictate things. Whereas, a club like, Atletico, they don't have as much money, so they've got a system in place, from the youth ranks, and I've got all these players coming in, and you've got obviously Simeone who's stuck with that same system, bringing these guys through, and he's obviously got he's thinking up there to kind of bring everyone in.
Mm-hmm.
It's
an interesting point.
It's like it's like the anti-Galacticos, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what's fantastic about it.
And that's why it works so well for Atletico.
Exactly, that's what it must
be
fantastic. That's why it must be fantastic. We have all these rivalries, we have all these within our own cities, but for them that must be fantastic because the philosophy is completely different. You've got Real Madrid on the other side of the city. Probably, if you go to Madrid, their stadium's right in the centre. It's almost in the business area of the city, so it feels grand. It feels like there's money. It feels like there's big players and big names. And then you've got Atletico, like the ground slightly removed from the city centre, probably more of like the people's club and
working class.
Yeah, and you've got
this
team, and you've got this man who will fight for you, and he's bringing through these players, and he's got this team of not individuals. We're not talking about Ronaldo's, we're not talking about Bales. I mean, sometimes I couldn't name and even if they're in a Champions League final, right now I couldn't name their starting 11 from. We've got there's pockets of players, but you just can go, well, he's fantastic, and he could go. Griezmann's the one that stands out, and you go, oh, he could play for anything.
Yeah.
But
and Odin as well, best centre back in the world.
But you don't know whether his style would work with other clubs. You know what I mean? You wouldn't go, well, he could coach a footballing team and play out the back, and they all fit in because they all want it. And what I love it, the horrible Schneid's. They will systematically, one by one, go and stand on someone's ankle, and they'll be like, you're booked. No one will make the same foul twice. They're not stupid enough because the manager is...
And they're well coached, aren't they? That's what it comes down to.
They're coached in the absolute dark arts. I'm telling you, Professor Snape himself got in there and taught them. It's a Harry Potter reference for you there, kid.
You've got to love Harry Potter.
There you go, mate.
You've got to love Harry Potter. Social Club loves Harry Potter.
Respect for the Rickman. You know what I mean? They are just horrible and nasty, and that's
I think we know here who the panel probably wants to win, but who do you think? I mean, Ada's already said Madrid.
I think Atletico Madrid are going to win. I honestly think it's their time. I think they're bubbling under nicely.
It'd be nice to see them win.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
As long as Torres doesn't score, because I mean, the gas from guys like him.
6 times.
Christ, it'd be unbearable. It would be unbearable.
I want Atletico to win because I'm fed up of seeing Galacticos. I'm fed up of seeing money in football rule things consistently. That's why Leicester winning the league and the Premier League this season was so good. If Atletico can do that in the Champions League, and is there a more deserving team? Look, finalists in 14, quarter-finalists knocked out by Madrid, I think it was last season, and finalists again. Let me know who you want to win in the comments section below, and tell me the reasons why as well, and we'll see you next week on Social Club.